Imagine that in the middle of the night, you feel this strange vibrational energy, and you awake to find an entity, a very powerful, intense presence, so intense that your human mind isn't quite capable of being able to formulate what is taking place, but you know that something is. You know that something is there with you. Well, welcome back to another Vibes and Frequencies video. My name is Nathan, and in this video, what I'm going to be talking about is some alien stuff. What kind of alien stuff, you might ask? Well, I'll let you know right now, and then we'll get into it. My friend, Mad Lad, on my Patreon. My patrons on Patreon, by the way, have a special perk you guys can check out in the description if you're curious. You don't have to. But basically, they get to send me messages about videos they want to see, and I make them personal videos and send them to them within a few days. So that's kind of cool. You could check that out if you're curious. But I wanted to turn this video that I made for my friend Mad Lad, who had this question, into a video for everybody because I think it's pretty interesting. So, Mad Lad, I hope you don't mind that I'm sharing this. Mad Lad has had this happen, where they have started waking up to this presence immediately after saying to the universe that they wanted to be abducted by aliens and have alien visits. So imagine this. You say to the universe that you want this to happen, and you start waking up to these presences at night. So what Mad Lad wanted to know, because I have had much communication and contact with aliens. I have got a whole playlist on alien contact experiences if you happen to be new to my channel and want to check that stuff out. But it is not a requirement for this video. For this video to be making sense, I mean. So, my response to Mad Lad is actually a few questions. And the question that you should ask yourself when you feel the presence of another entity and you feel it to be an alien extraterrestrial presence, the question to ask yourself is, what do you feel in their presence? This is a very powerful and profound way that we can use to determine what kind of energy type dimensional being we are experiencing and dealing with. So to elaborate on this, I'll go ahead and explain to you that the contact with the aliens that I've had, all 5 of my experiences now, have been the same beings. I've had contact with what people refer to as the Greys, and I don't tend to really talk about the specifics in here in my videos, but this one will be more specific, right? So it's the Greys that I've been interacting with. Now, what it feels like to me is fear when I'm in their presence. But fear is not a response that means that you are in danger or that you are dealing with a negative entity. What's taking place is that you are interacting with a being that is of such a high vibration that because the universe is constantly seeking this equilibrium, energy is always meshing to create unity. This is literally taking place all around us, right? The universe is seeking this balance, and it is creating itself always, no matter what. So when you find yourself in the presence of a high vibrational being, they're so high vibrational, they're not going to mold down to you. You have to raise to them, and it's going to happen incredibly quickly. So as your vibration is shifting to this powerful vibrational entity, it feels like fear because it's bringing up all these layers of us, and we have to let them go so that we can find ourselves at the same level of awareness and dimensional being that this entity with us is at. So for me, I've always felt a sense of fear. I felt a lot of things come up. I felt like a lot of trauma type things. Like when I'm in the presence of these entities, I find myself encountering trauma from my childhood and having vivid, horrible, nightmare-like feelings about it. And this is me vibrationally processing really quickly so that I can let go and be at the level of the entity. So, just because you feel fear from an entity does not mean that it's a negative entity. As a matter of fact, feeling this kind of sense of fear that I'm talking about, of things coming up, is a great sign that you are dealing with a high vibrational being. And high vibrational beings will never do anything to hurt you, ever. Because a high vibrational being has a higher vibrational awareness of their consciousness. And what's interesting about their consciousness is that we have the same exact consciousness. This whole universe is the same exact consciousness. You and I are in different vehicles, we're in different bodies, we have different personalities, we're different expression of vibration and energy, and that's really cool. And yet we are all the exact same consciousness. We're the same driver driving a bunch of different people. And that's pretty cool. So the higher vibrational beings, the entities, the aliens, they know this. And the only reason that they would be coming into this dimension is, yes, of course, perhaps they have their own reasons depending on the group of aliens, which I am going to get into a few different groups, by the way, and share with you some things that I'm familiar with about what their intention is. But the thing is that these high vibrational beings, they're not going to do anything to hurt you. Some of these beings I know might use you for something, but they will never hurt you because you are them. And they have a higher awareness of us being them than we do of them, right? We're all one. There's this full unity taking place. They're not going to hurt themselves. That would be asinine. So, this is the first question to ask yourself is, how do you feel? I'm not going to discuss some of the lower vibrational entities that people believe are here to hurt us, right? Like we're talking about, I just really don't know much about these things, but like reptilians, things like this, people say there's all these kinds of beings in the government. I'm not laughing at people who say that. I don't know anything about it. So I'm not going to talk about those. I only know about the good stuff. Okay. So the second thing that I want to talk about is some of the different groups. So this video is kind of all over the place, but hopefully you enjoy that. It's vibrational resonant of who I am. I'm kind of stuck behind all these cactuses, but I'm trying to keep moving. If you couldn't notice, I'm like having like kind of a breakdown. Where do I go? What do I do? So that's the truth about the beings. Now, the beings that I know about, I'll share with you right now. So when we talk about information of being a light worker, of being a starseed, we're talking about you being this higher vibrational entity that has channeled itself and manifested itself into a human's body so that you can be here on Earth and help the human race to ascend. So essentially, aliens are never going to come here and reveal certain kinds of energy to us because it would be detrimental to our development. These are things that we need to come to on our own from the inside, because that's where powerful realization happens. And these beings, the high vibrational ones, they know this. So they aren't just going to come and reveal these secrets to you and show you these things and just give you stuff like this, because that would be detrimental to you and your development. And again, they know that they are you in a higher level of things. So they're not going to be doing this, okay? There's certain rules, and when you're on Earth, there's certain rules that other beings abide by. So because you have something that you wanted to share with the human race, you have some tools you want to share, you have some energy that you want to share with them, what you needed to do was manifest yourself into Earth as a human. So me personally, I believe that I am of the Greys, right? This is the strongest connection that I have. And so I manifested myself into this, and I'm here being this because I'm going to change the world from the inside out, right? We can't change it from the outside. It's not allowed. We need to come inside and just be a human that understands and feels these kinds of energies, and it's like a chain reaction of healing people, right? So, the Greys, let's go ahead and talk about that. How might you know if you are the Greys? If you feel like there is a message that you are meant to be sharing, if you feel a certain kind of compulsion to articulate certain kind of concepts, if they're things that you understand energetically and you just project outwards all the time, if people find you to be discussing things that are often triggering, that people don't like because it's not resonant of things that we've been taught, it's likely that you are having a connection to the Greys. And bear with me, because there's an even bigger truth to this that I'll explain momentarily, but this connection is likely, okay? And this is because what is going on with the Greys is they've got their planet, which they are also from another dimension of Earth, okay? Earth is taking place in many different dimensions. They're from a dimension of Earth where they exceeded incredibly highly with technology. And it was so epic and so awesome, and that was all they were pretty much focused on. They destroyed their planet, similar to what we're doing, right? So they have manifested themselves into our dimension in a certain kind of way, so that they can help us to not do the same. This is very dumbed down, very simplified. There's a lot more to this, but that's the part that I like sharing, and it's cool to me, right? So if we can share these understandings that we have and these realizations and these downloads that we're constantly getting from this dimension of who we truly are as being the Greys, right? Then we can help to create the change here, help to create a different timeline for our planet, because our planet is magnificent, and if you're not taking care of it, I love you still, but come on. Come on. It's not hard to do. And it's really the most profound and important thing any of us could possibly do is care for our planet. Nothing else really matters, okay? So, sorry for that little tangent, but let's now go ahead and talk about let's go ahead and talk about Pleiadians now, okay? You might know that you are a Pleiadian, actually, based on some certain things that might be some effects that you have in your person that are not necessarily good. So, Pleiadians are prone to escapism, okay, because Pleiadians are taking place in a more dreamlike level of dimension, right? So when they think something, they could like manifest it. You could be experiencing all these different things at different times. When you come to be a human, all of a sudden, it doesn't work that way. You have to focus on something for a significant amount of time to manifest it, right? It's actually not true right now because we are in a higher dimension of things, but our understanding is still catching up for the most part. But vibrationally, we actually can do what the Pleiadians do for the most part now. Now, anyways, what happens is because you're so used to the being of being you that can channel all these different things and have all these different dreamlike experiences, and then all of a sudden you're here and you can't, well, Pleiadians end up being humans that are prone to escapism, as in drug abuse, binge watching TV shows, right? Things like this, okay? They can fall heavily into a romantic partner. They become very dependent on things that allow them to escape this physical reality and exist somewhere else in their imagination. So this is actually one of the really profound ways that that might be taking place. Now, Pleiadians, in my own personal opinion, from my understanding, because there's lots of different things, right? This is my perspective. We've all got one. Yeah. So I think a way that we could tell that if you have a connection to the Pleiadians is if you are kind of just a really authentically weird person. Like if you're just weird, if you've just always found yourself being just this like totally authentic weirdo, doesn't worry too much what other people think, and you've just always kind of been this just like Exhibit A. And it's likely you have a connection to the Pleiadians. Now there's a lot more to these things, but the Pleiadians are in a sense kind of here, is in my own interpretation, right? They're kind of here to help humanity to realize through their example of being a person that just does their own thing and doesn't worry about what other people think, it's to show people that our personalities are not fixed, because they're not. Personality is not fixed, and we don't need to fall in line with what society and everybody else tells us we're supposed to be, supposed to think, supposed to feel, supposed to do. So when a Pleiadian manifests himself into a human, I'll just use myself for an example, then I'll oftentimes find myself having, like, it's literally impossible for me to not be authentic. Like, people tell me all the time that one of my worst qualities is that I'm, like, way too honest. And it's also one of my best qualities. But that's the thing. We can all be truthful with ourselves, right? We can all just be us. We don't need to be anything. We don't need to do something and think about it from somebody else's perspective. You're here to be you, and who you could be is anybody. So be yourself. Be yourself. That's the Pleiadian vibe, all right? So if you feel like you kind of just inspire people, if you're just like kind of a sunny disposition, kind of a happier person who's just confident being themselves weirdly, then it's likely that you have Pleiadian connections. And we are here again to change things from the inside out, create this energetic chain reaction, right? Now, the even bigger understanding, the truth that I mentioned earlier, I was going to say, I'm impressed that I remembered this actually, is that when we talk about one consciousness, that we all are in different beings, then it's the realization that we literally are all starseeds and light workers. There's not certain people that are like more special than others. We are all incredibly special, and we're, like I said, we're a special expression, and it's very purposeful and it's very powerful. It really is. And we all are a multidimensional being. As a matter of fact, we are all this same exact multidimensional being. We are the same multidimensional being having different dimensions of experiences. We're just the same being dancing with itself on like this cosmic music song that's just the best song I've ever heard, right? This is what it's all about. So we all are, right? There's nobody that is, there's nobody that isn't, but this is old news. People have been talking about this on YouTube now for a while, but I just, I couldn't not throw it in there. Now, there are a lot of other groups, right? We're talking about people from Sirius. That's all I can think of right now. If you know things about these, it would be so cool if you could post them below so that there's more information on this video for other people to see. I really don't know much about them, so I'm not going to talk about them. Now, another cool thing. If aliens and entities come to visit you, the truth is, and this is from the same understandings we've been talking about here, but I like connecting the dots as we go because it helps my own understanding. Don't rip my pants, Spiky Bush. These are my favorite pants. Excuse me. That bush was trying to teach me a lesson. Hey, stay on trail. There's so many pokey bushes here in Tucson. The realization is that when a being comes and visits you, so for example, I had a very powerful experience where literally over like 20 ships, like there had to be at least 20, came out of the sky and came super close to me and started doing circles around me. This was freaking crazy. It's freaking crazy. Here's the thing. They weren't other aliens that were doing this. It was me doing that. It was me in another dimension coming here to connect with myself and align something that takes place in the quantum realm with quantum mechanics. So the ships that came to visit me, the downloads that I've got, the abduction that I had a long time ago when I first started my channel, these aren't things that somebody else was doing to me. They weren't other beings that were doing this. It's me interacting with myself from another dimension. And this aspect of myself, these alien entities, are of awareness. These aspects of myself are more aware of their consciousness and the power that they have. So they're able to move through the dimensions more easily. So when I came here, right, let's go ahead and say there's like a contract or a certain plan that I have written out for myself. I was destined to connect with these ships. It changed everything for me because I've 100% trusted the universe ever since, because I asked for a sign and I got it. But the thing is that I was the one giving myself the sign. So this is the same. So Mad Lad, who's asked this question, the entity that is coming into your room and interacting with you, it is you. It is you in another dimension of things. A lot of times what's taking place is a download. A certain connection takes place when you meet yourself. You might not be aware in this form that it is yourself, but incredible vibrational downloads begin to take place. All kinds of things in the universe begin shifting. If you're interested about quantum mechanics, you can check my quantum mechanics playlist. I've got some really good stuff on there. I talk about time travel, all kinds of cool stuff. I think it's cool. So, I'm going to go ahead and leave this video here. There's a lot more things to say. If you have any questions about this kind of information, or if you want to see more videos about topics like this, let me know below what that specifically would be for you. I love making videos, and I make videos about whatever I want, but I like answering questions too. It's kind of fun for me. So thank you for watching. I do make videos every single day. So I hope that you will choose to join me tomorrow for the next, and have a good one. See you soon.